you have on your comfy pajamas and your cup of coffee for PJs and coffee today. So, actually, this isn't coffee, it's tea. I already had coffee this morning, so we do 1 cup of coffee and then tea. But anyway, so I wanted to get on here and kind of chat with you guys about fear, right? So, if you're new to my channel, PJs and Coffee is basically just a morning motivational time. For those who do morning devotionals, this is about the time where God really downloads into me for the day. And so I choose to use this time to download into you all as well. And usually I do it in my pajamas with my coffee. I love talking to God with my cup of coffee on the couch and just really snuggly. So I'm going to share that moment with y'all. So today I decided to read Luke chapter 1. And I was supposed to get to chapter 2, but I didn't because chapter 1 really struck my heart and chord strings. And then God literally stopped me and was like, this is where you need to start today. So I'm starting here. So just to kind of give you an overview of what Luke chapter 1 talks about, it talks about Zacharias, Elizabeth, and Mary. Everyone knows who Mary is. I'm sure if I don't know if you know who Zacharias or Elizabeth are. I did not. I had to research a little bit, but an angel named Gabriel came to Zacharias and said, hey, God wants you to have a child. Now, in the Bible, it does say that they're old. Zacharias and Elizabeth are married, and it does say that they're old, but I don't remember that it says how old they are, so I'm going to pretend like they're 87. That sounded like a good number, so imagine an 87-year-old couple, an angel coming down and going, your wife's about to get pregnant. And Zacharias instantly to the angel was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, and by the way, I'm too tired for that. I'm not about to go sit on no floor and play with no babies. My wife is having 87. Do you know how old she is? Nothing still works. And so the angel was like, you don't believe? And silenced him until the baby was born. Now, some of us can't imagine being silent for 9 months. Others of us probably don't talk enough to even care. But I would be like, 9 months of silence? Nope, I'd rather believe. So that happens to Zacharias and Elizabeth. And then the chapter cuts into Mary. And the same angel Gabriel comes to Mary and says, hey, girl, I know that you're a virgin and you've got plans to marry Joseph, but God's got other plans. He is going to impregnate you as a virgin. You're having a child. Name him Jesus. And she kind of was like, okay. I mean, I am God's servant, so whatever he wants me to do, I will do. Okay, great. So Mary and Elizabeth are related, and so they come together at some point, basically I imagine that they're having wine and a little, well, Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant, so she's not having wine, but I imagine them sitting around chatting over maybe some tea or some coffee or whatever. Maybe they were having PJs and coffee. They're chatting and she gets there and she's like, Elizabeth, you were getting big, girl. You 6 months and you 87 years. You okay? You look good though. You look good. And Mary's like, Elizabeth's like, thanks, girl. So what's going on with you? I'm tired. And Mary's like, well, God told me I'm having a baby. And I'm a virgin. They're looking at each other okay, God's doing great things in our lives. I imagine them being me and my friends would be like, I don't know what's happening, but okay, we're just rolling with the punches here. And so, paraphrasing because there's more words in between here, but so Elizabeth gives birth. And she gives birth, everything's fine. 8 days later, they do the circumcision, kind of ritual or festival, or I don't know how to party. I'll say a party. So they do the circumcision party. Everybody comes around. They're going to circumcise the little baby boy. And all the people are like, what are you naming him? I know it's going to be Zacharias Jr. I just know it. And she's like, no, I'm naming him John. And everybody was like, John? You have that family member that named their kid Dewalius, and you're like, Dewalius? All the names you could name a kid Dewalius? That's how they were looking at her John? No way. So, they're like, okay, yeah, okay, Elizabeth, John, yeah. Zacharias, was she really naming a baby? And he goes, keep in mind, he can't speak, right? And he's like, give me a he writes down, the name is John. And they're like, yeah, the name is John. Okay, both of them are nuts. Except Zacharias talks. He literally speaks in that moment. And in that moment, he starts praising God. Now imagine, not only is this couple pregnant at 87, but homeboy hasn't talked for 9 months. They named the baby John, and magically he speaks, right? Well, we know it's not magic, but I'm paraphrasing here. So, like, just miraculously, he speaks. So then everybody's like, oh, John! Because, of course, this is now a good name. And they're so excited, and everybody's praising God. And so, really, right? So, in all of that, it's really about faith. It's really about doing things in fear. It's really about trust. It's really about belief. So I decided to just kind of pull out the fear and faith part of the story. So, okay. If you don't know, and many of you I know don't, I don't like to be on camera. I do not like to tell my stories. I do not like to operate in that headspace. I am not even on social media heavy, right? Like I'm like one of the lurkers on social media. I like stuff. I may write a comment, but for the most part, you're not going to see me. I think my last post on Instagram was from a year ago, and like over now. It's probably been almost. We're working on almost 2 years ago. I just don't like social media. I don't like people in my business. I like my life to be very private, and so God has been talking to me for a really long time about not being so private about things and being able to share them with other people who may be going through the same struggles as I am going through. But I've been very much like, no, that's okay. I'll just stick to what I'm doing and be fine. But I've been living in this, what I call a cycle storm. And so what happens in a cycle storm is basically it's a cycle of a storm, right? So just like anything else, the storm clears, it's sunny, it's fun, it's happy, it's great, and then the storms come back, right? So like usually during the summer, I think it's like spring, summer, you don't have as many like thunderstorms. Well, I think it's more like spring, end of winter. You don't have as many thunderstorms. You may have some rain, but you don't have as many thunderstorms. It's been cloudy here for like the last 3 days, right? I love the cloudiness, but that's how my life feels. So I go through this like sunny time, and then I go through a really long cloudy time. And the cloudy time is because of lots of things, I'm sure. But one of the things that God revealed to me is that it's because I'm not listening and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because the clouds are supposed to come, but they're also supposed to fade. And I'm supposed to do something different every time the clouds come, and I don't do it. So here I am operating in the fear under the clouds. It's cloudy outside, by the way. So I am completely operating in fear, right? So during my devotional, while I was reading Luke, God really downloaded into me to just do it in fear. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. So just so we're clear, this is my very first ever video being posted with my face, words to a camera, okay? This is one video I've ever done. I've never done any others. There's none on social media. You're not going to find me talking on anything else. I don't like this, but for God, I'm going to do it. And so I'm operating in my Mary today. And in this moment, I'm being Mary, right? Mary's a virgin. She had plans. She had plans to probably work and do other things and marry Joseph and have this wonderful life. And God was like, no, I'm blessing you with a child now. And she didn't really have an opportunity to say like, actually, I don't want that. Actually, this is what I want to do. She didn't get that opportunity. There was a baby, right? Like God was like, I'm doing it. So you might as well get ready and live and do it with a, remember your parents used to say, you better do it with a smile. And you'd be like, so yeah, like she had to do it and do it with a smile. And thank God she did, because where would we be right now without Jesus, right? Without Jesus' birth, where would we be right now? So this is me operating in fear, right? So I hope that this moment will help someone else, just who's been called by God to do something outside of their norm, outside of their box, and do it with fear. And do it with confidence in the fear. Like I'm telling y'all, I'm doing it with fear, but I wondered how many of you knew that when I started? How many of you knew before I even got to this point in the video that like I was freaking out prior to? I will at one point share the bloopers, because there is a full 5 minutes of me like freaking out. So I just want you guys today to be encouraged to make the first step forward. Do it in fear and understand that like every step you take towards success is that. It's a step towards success. And every step that comes backwards is also a step towards success. Like, nobody walked into success in two steps. Everyone took two and got knocked back four, and took three and got knocked back seven. But as long as you keep moving forward and you keep doing it with confidence and boldness, all of that will become normal to you. You will start to really understand like God's calling on your life. You'll start to really feel it. You won't feel so scared about it. It will almost be like riding a bike. Like, it'll just be so easy. So I hope that this message, just kind of brings somebody into some motivation. Like, you can do it. You can do whatever it is that God is calling you to do. Even if it's outside of your box, you can do it. Like, he's not calling you to do it to let you fail. Right? And it may not be perfect the first time it comes out. It may not be the greatest the first time it comes out. But imagine if you decided to sit and not do it for the next 5 years, what life would be like. As if you just said yes one time and he transforms your life in the matter of minutes. He's God, right? He can do anything. In 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, he can do anything. So really be encouraged today to do things out of fear. Really be encouraged to sit with God and really push through your fears on the things he's calling you to do. If you don't have a fear about it, you might have a fear in anything else. So just push through your fears today. So I like to leave you all with a little something that you can kind of use or write down or whatever. So this is actually on my laptop. I'm going to show you. It's actually on my laptop. It sits there. I need to rewrite it because it's starting to fade. But my little sticky says, Beyonce Coachella walk through life. Don't let what you are going through right now make you forget what God has already told you. Okay? So if that reference doesn't make sense to you, if you've never seen the Beyonce documentary about Coachella, she talks about how her body didn't feel like her body before she went on stage and how she pushed herself over the limits that she was even supposed to push herself as a new mom of twins. But she delivered an amazing show, and none of us would have known what she went through on the back end. And so as long as you do that, you'll be fine, right? So none of you knew that I've been fearing this for 6 months and I've been not doing it for 6 months until I told you. But I get on here and I could be, I'm getting more comfortable. So just remember, like, Beyonce stepped on a stage of millions and killed it, even in her fear and her lack of feeling motivated and not feeling adequate or herself. She still pushed through it. So can you. I promise you, if I can do it, she can do it, you can do it. So get started, make the first step, and have a wonderful, blessed day. Don't forget to drink your coffee and your water.